This is when he broke down. He started tearing up and confessing that he's been weighing his poops for the last year. At one point in time, Pepsi had the sixth largest navy in the world. Trailer Park Boys, you know, peanut butter and jam. Yo. What is up? Good morning. How's it going, everybody? Back again this morning here in the lounge and rocking and rolling. Still a little chilly outside, a little wet. April showers bring May flowers. However, here May 1st, it seems like we have a little bit of a lingering April shower with us this morning, this afternoon, sticking around with us. So, yeah, wouldn't mind the warm weather from last week coming back, but oh well, we'll get it when it comes. Either way, summer's right around the corner. Was looking online last night, saw a pretty interesting post. A moment in history, I guess, towards the end of the Cold War. The Soviet Union was conducting some like interesting business as far as barters and trades. They made a deal with PepsiCo for a large quantity of cola concentrate, is what it said, and traded it for a bunch of like submarines and warships and such like that. I looked into it, and it's completely false. It's just entirely made up. There was like a article from the late 80s or early 90s talking about it, sort of like with these like kind of rumors, but nothing ever confirmed and whatnot. But I thought it was funny. I mean, what the hell is, first of all, like, what the hell is the Soviet Union gonna do with a bunch of either Pepsi, if it's just the soda, or like if it's like the cola concentrate, which I'm guessing is like the syrup to make the fountain soda. What the hell are you gonna do with all that? But then also, like, what would Pepsi do with all of these like warships and like submarines and stuff like that? I think the clickbait on like the post was like, at one point in time, Pepsi had the sixth largest navy in the world, and or like military, or it might have just been the navy, but either way, it was just like, what the, just something like you read and you want to start like just telling everybody, because it's like, fuck it, like, that just sounds cool. That's a funny fact to like, share with everybody. So why not rock with that? And I had to look into it though, and before I brought it out to the lounge and just started spewing false fact. Not that I really care. There's like maybe 5 of us who listen to this thing, so including myself. So, we I'm sure none of us take anything on here too seriously. It's just here about hanging out and having the laugh. But did want to elaborate more on the whole bartering thing, because while I was diving into the whole, is this real? Is this not real? Like, did Pepsi really trade Coca-Cola? Or I guess Pepsi Cola. Did Pepsi really trade their soda for a bunch of warships and submarines and whatnot? And landed on this show called Barter Kings. Used to see this on, I want to say A&E or some like channel growing up. I don't know. I want to say a weird channel, but definitely not like a uber popular channel. I really don't remember what it was on, but this show was something else, man. It follows these two gentlemen from high desert California, which I don't exactly know where in California that is, but Steve and Antonio. And these two gentlemen are expert traders. They are the barter kings. They will take, something like these headphones, for example, and they can trade up to, I mean, anything, man. They could probably trade those headphones for a goddamn aeroplane, because, and like, yeah, you're like, what the fuck? Yeah, right. These guys in the very first episode, and like continuously throughout all these other episodes, I only had time to dive into one last night, but they each, are like friends and colleagues, and they work together and it's their show together. But in this specific episode, they're kind of not like competing, but they're both kind of showcasing their skills more or less, and they're individually trading with different goals in mind. Steve, he has the goal in mind of acquiring a speedboat for his family. He wants to take them out on the water, have some fun, and so he goes through their store and says, "I've got these golden, these like gold plated or golden Elvis records. They're worth about $150. I'm gonna try and trade them for a speedboat." And he ends up meeting up with a guy has a dirt bike for sale. Or I guess like not for sale, but he's got a dirt bike he's trying to get rid of. People are like open to trades. They're all on like Craigslist looking up. This is from like the 2010s, I want to say as well too. It's like a little bit of an older show, at least like 10 years old. But they get a hold of him on Craigslist, show up to the house, start making the deal. They're talking, and the dirt bike's worth about $1,250, and the records are worth $150. So huge difference in value. However, this is supposed to be like a surprise for his wife's birthday, and his kid already broke his leg on the dirt bike, so his wife really doesn't want him around. So he's like, well, when he kind of, ends up sharing this information with me, I kind of got to use my leverage to, make the deal happen, so, and he's like talking about, like, oh, think about your family, you want to make your wife happy, this will do a good job of like, winning her back, and like getting her off your case for, your kid getting hurt, blah, blah, blah. And dude ends up making the deal, trades the dirt bike for the records, which is insane. And then fast forward through the rest of these trades, he trades the dirt bike for this like giant ass safe. So it's comically large and weighs an insane amount of money. They have to like forklift it to and from. It like nearly breaks the forklift, nearly falls off a couple times, and hauls it out in a trailer, goes to meet up with some dude who has a beat to shit on the inside. The outside looks great. Can't tell there's anything wrong with it, but on the inside, it's a project. It's rusted out, needs all new interior, everything pretty much done on it. Doesn't even start, but it's like a 79 or something like that. It's like an old Monte Carlo, and so ends up successfully, like, you don't see this deal, but he trades the safe for the Monte Carlo. He just comes, like, leaves with the safe, ends up coming back. He's like, I couldn't make the deal. Opens the trailer. All of a sudden, they push out a Monte Carlo, and then that's when you find out what a piece of shit this thing is. Then, fast forward, he takes the Monte Carlo, trades that for this, like, custom chopper bike, because he does find, after the dirt bike, he does find, like, he's just driving down the road, he does find a boat, and he's like, this dude's got a bunch of junk in his yard. I wonder if he'd be down to get rid of it. Tries to offer him the dirt bike, and he's like, come on, man, give me something worth something, worth my while. He's like, well, what do you want? And he's like, I don't know, come back with a Harley. I want a Harley, do something like that. And so ends up looking online for bikes, trades the Monte Carlo, which is a bit of a project for this dude's custom chopper. He's got a family, been trying to get rid of the bike for a couple years, he says, and isn't quite able to. Decides, you know what, fuck it, I'll take the deal. I'll start working on this car, maybe be able to flip that, if I can. And all of a sudden, Steve's got himself this chopper, and he started with these Elvis gold records for $150. Just like a $6,000 bike this man has successfully traded to, and I think this is like the fourth deal. So he is very successfully worked his way up to a high value item, or at least comparative to where he started. And comes back to the dude's got the chopper. The guy mulls it over. He's like, looking at it. He's like, it's missing a pipe, blah blah blah. Let me think about it. He's like, I'm gonna have a beer. I'm gonna have a beer about it. So he's like, yeah, I'm gonna have a beer and smoke. And so he goes. The guy just like walks away, goes inside his fucking house, and comes out. And he's like, fuck it. He's talking about Steve. Ends up leveling him. He's like, hey, look, it's for my kids. I'm trying to take them out. He's like, you got kids? He's like, got a lot of them. Apparently this dude's been fucking. And so he And they'll be like, well, if it's for your kids, let somebody else have fun with it if I'm not gonna. Makes the deal, ends up getting the boat. So Steve ends up trading these fucking two. Like, you only see two of them. Who knows how many he really had? But they traded these Elvis records for the speedboat, which is insane. It's not like the nicest boat, but still, it's a fucking boat, and it runs. At least it seems like it runs. You can go tubing on it and stuff. They're out in Cali, or, go to a lake or something like that. It seems like a blast. So, I grew up on a lake, or near a lake, I should say, not on one, but and every time, we had the opportunity to go out with somebody on their boat, or somebody was visiting with their boat, it was awesome. I love tubing and being on a pontoon or anything like that. So, can't blame Steve for wanting to get out on the water, but yeah, that's pretty funny. Antonio himself, man, he kind of claims to be the better trader of the two. Obviously, they kind of have like their own personal beliefs as far as like who's the real barter king amongst the two. But Antonio's like been doing it a little bit longer. He says he's kind of one who brought Steve under his wing, and he sometimes he like was just trading up for cash. Like he was just like, yeah, I'm just gonna trade up for as big of an item as I can and then cash out. So Antonio starts out with a laptop. You don't really see the brand. Obviously, they're not giving out free like press or like free ads or anything like that. But he just like goes through like this like storage unit looking like pawn shop type place, and I guess it's like their store or whatever it is, and ends up just like pulling out a laptop. He's like, yeah, I mean, I got stuff that people are always looking to trade. Like laptops are all people are always looking for a lap. People are always looking for a laptop. You need one nowadays. So he's like, I'm gonna try and trade one of these. He ends up finding a dude with a like a retro bass amp, which I didn't really know exactly what that is, but I guess it's like a big speaker or something like that you like plug into. It's for like music, like musical groups and bands and whatnot. Pretty cool looking thing. It's I really don't know much about it, but he ends up making the deal. The guy has it's an amp. It's worth like $1,800, and the laptop, I mean, who knows how much a laptop's worth? And again, like this is like 10, 12 years ago, so this is new. It's probably worth a couple more $100, like kind of like a new car, where it's like you get it out the store and it's like gonna have that new laptop price, but as soon as you take it home and like in like a month, it's lost, it's depreciated in value, or like even within 6 months and stuff. So you could tell, like, I mean, looking at it, it was just like, holy shit, that thing's so obsolete. But I mean, this is 2025. You're looking back on that. So, great assault. Looking at that. But yeah, Antonio trades the laptop for the bass amp, takes the dude's like looking for cash too. He's like, I'm trying to get some cash too. But Antonio's like, I'm making a deal never to bring cash to a trade. I don't like doing it. It's something I don't do. Oh, also, I forgot to mention, Antonio has Tourette's, so he has these little like tics that he'll do, and like sometimes he'll have these like verbal tics as well. If you're not familiar with Tourette's syndrome, it's not just necessarily like the Tourette's guy who's like Bob Saget, like on YouTube. If you're familiar with those viral videos like that, it's not exactly what it is. It's sometimes just simply like a twitch, or it could be a spasm. It might not be the right word for it, but it could be like a muscle movement. It could be a sound. It's not necessarily like and it's not always like necessarily the same thing. Like Antonio has like different tics and different things. Like for example, he talks about like sometimes I'll hear something and it just sounds cool to me. I can't get it out of my head, and all of a sudden like I just gotta like repeat it, like ba-bam, like ba-bam, ba-bam. He sounds like fucking the dudes from Trailer Park Boys, peanut butter and jam, kind of like something like that. So and so he'll be on these deals, and all of a sudden you'll just see like his one of his ticks, and they're a little goofy. I'm not trying to like make fun of the guy or like laugh at him, but it is kind of funny when like he is talking to somebody and they start asking him something, and like one of his ticks seems to be like he kind of like jerks his head to like the right and like looks to the side, but he does it really fast and repeatedly, so it almost looks like he's just shaking his head no at you. and while you're like talking to him, but like again, like it's just like one of his ticks. It's you can tell he's like locked eyes with you, and he doesn't seem to be enjoying that it's happening. So I'm not, again, not making fun of the guy, but uh ends up trading the laptop for the amp. Knows a guy or meets a guy who has an off-road ATV, and he's in a band looking to make some more money and like expand and grow, get some more equipment. So trades the amp for this ATV, which is like, it's like an $1,800 amp. The ATV is worth like 10K. However, it's got a salvage title, so it's got like a little bit diminished value, like half the value, like only 4 or 5K. But so he's able to like work that down in that deal. Well, it's only worth this much because of the salvage title. I'm kind of worried about it. Plus, this ATV is just sitting there, like, you're going to make money with this amp, blah, 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 blah. So obviously, like, dude makes the deal. And, then he finds a lifted truck online, this like big ass, like Ford, but you can't tell what kind of car it is because it's like missing the bumper, it's missing the grill, it's got no headlights, no tail lights. It overall, like, it's got to like, you got to like lift the hood and like, start it that way. But overall, like, it still runs and stuff like that. And dude's like, yeah, I mean, it's still got a $10,000 truck, so, I'm hoping to get something like that for it. Dude's making a trade, has, it's the project he's not really working on anymore, doesn't want to put any more money into it, and, looking for an ATV for out in the country with the fam. So, talks it over. Antonio's like, I mean, this is a $10,000 ATV. That was so funny because the dude before was telling him that. He's like, yeah, but it's a salvage title, so it's worth half of that. And then he flips the script. He's just like, yeah, $10,000 ATV. And dude's like, yeah, let me think it over. He's like, I got to go ask the wife. She's in on this too. She's got some money into it. Goes inside, comes back, and he's like, put her there. I talked her into it. So he ends up making the deal, swaps the ATV for a fucking lifted truck. These guys, man, they really are the Barter Kings, man. This is just a pilot episode. We'll talk more about this too as well. Obviously, like, we're just talking about some of the shit I really like, the shows and whatnot that make me laugh, and just like, suck me in, catch me, get me hooked, and I just can't turn away. There's another show on YouTube called The Specials. It follows these English chaps, group of men and women around, their young adult age, who are affected with Down syndrome, and it's one of the best shows of all time. I don't know how you can't watch that and not have like one of the biggest smiles on your face, but also like laugh the hardest ever and just feel so full and warm inside. Like, we're not here to get all mushy, but again, like I said, really fun show. You should check it out. It's on YouTube, and there's like 6 episodes or something like that. But Barter Kings, man, these guys, hoping to get back into it. I think there was like 3 seasons of that, and so they're all on YouTube for free as well. I'm sure they're like all over like other streaming platforms, but I was like, I just want to see a couple clips on YouTube, just like some recaps of a show or an episode. And then I was like, oh shit, they have all 3 seasons just fully on YouTube. That's sick. Speaking of 3 seasons, though, I was wrong when I talked about one of my favorite shows of all time, Nathan For You. I said there was 3 seasons. Incorrect. There's 4. Strike me down. I can't believe that I fucked it up. Obviously, I'm rocking the Summit Ice jacket, and I told you guys the Summit Ice website was down, but it's back up, and it is relaunched with all new product. This is like one of the OG classics, and it's still available on there, but they came out banging, ladies and gentlemen. Banging. They have insulated like winter jackets. They got new soft shells. They're all like water resistant. The price definitely went up on them, but the quality also increased, and I'm not denying that at all, because Summit Ice denies nothing. Deny nothing. Summit Ice, if you know, you know. But I don't care about the price. I'm definitely going to be like trying to get one. Hopefully next winter I can rock, my insulated Summit Ice jacket. It'll be peeping out for any like sales they might have or whatnot. But man, they added hats. They added more merch to the show, the shop. And also Paramount Plus, they took their episode off of Paramount Plus. Obviously, that's what the streaming platform, which is bullshit, because it has more than just the Summit Ice in that episode. It's the horseback riding man zone episode, which is fucking phenomenal. It's he helps his horseback riding company expand their clientele because like fat people can't ride horses because they're gonna fucking break the horse's back if you're too fucking fat. It's like 250 pounds to ride a horse, at least out in Cali. And so his idea, fill giant ass balloons, like comically big balloons, like, you know, like the type of shit that China's flying over the United States, and attach them to people in like a harness type deal to offset their weight. Like you get a giant ass scale, you know, fill up a balloon, maybe two, maybe maybe three, however many you need, offset the weight, and he goes to like a horse ranch, finds a fat person on Craigslist, like they agree to do it, they like put the weight on them, they have a group, you know, like ride that they get to be a part of. Nathan he just is a fucking fool about the whole thing. And you obviously like they're out in like the wilderness riding in like these trees and stuff like that could pop the balloons. So he has these like enormously big like pizza spatulas, you know, like when you're like imagine like a brick oven pizza, you're like sliding that thing like in and out, like two comically big like pizza spatulas. Like think about like this, like you put them together and you have a whole, like the two of them together, you have like an IMAX screen between the two of them. They're that big. You have like you know, take an IMAX screen, split it in half, and then you just made two pizza spatulas out of like the size of those things. I don't know if I'm conveying this enough, but they're fucking huge. And these like other people are riding around on like in front of and behind in like a golf cart, just like, you know, whenever they get to a tree or something like that, or some like obstacles, they like get out in front and they like put the spatulas to separate the obstacles, and then they allow them to just simply walk right through. It's freaking hilarious. But also too, they got to worry about birds, so they take a scarecrow and attach it to a drone, and it just hovers above the balloons the whole fucking time. It's insane. Last real quick, talk about the man zone. They don't dive into this too much, but basically it's like they just take like, they just create an area inside of a store for guys to hang out while their girlfriend or like their wife or whoever's shopping. It's just a guy to hang out, and it's just Nathan being a fucking fool. You can just watch that whole like 5-minute clip from that snippet from that episode. It's just fucking hilarious. But man, that's also what you like denied us when you took away Summit Ice. And like again, like I'm pounding the desk. Summit Ice deny nothing, because if you know the message of the company, what they stand for, and why Nathan created it to begin with, you'll know how like crazy it is to like just deny their message. Whew. But and I also too, like, yeah, they Summit Ice has expanded their message too, which is also like they very very strong message. And you know, they have also acknowledged like other, they always had a strong message and they expanded it, which is awesome, you know. So, you know, Nathan Fielder's a genius, man. I think it's insane. You have to like find new ways to try to seek out that episode. But either way, Summit Ice, yeah, new line, website's back up and running, and new line of merch is out. And then also too, there's 4 seasons of Nathan for you, which means you have a full extra season of fun to enjoy with him. And like I said, the rehearsal's been out. I've been seeing more and more on Reddit about it, and got to get caught up. Reddit's such a fun place, man. I saw one of the funniest Reddit posts of all time. I was reading it, cried laughing. Had the opportunity to like read through it. I knew what I was going through, and then I was like Harlan, my buddy. I was talking to him. I was like, I gotta share this with you, dude. I saw, I think, one of the funniest Reddit posts of all time in my life, and I'm not a huge Reddit guy. I just kind of got into it like maybe a year ago. Really just kind of like hopping on threads and whatnot, like creating an account, and like I don't really post a lot, but like I found a couple cool communities. I think, you know, it's a fun place. I'm happy to like be getting into it and whatnot. But oh, dude, I think it was like just like an advice thread, and this girl had a short story about her boyfriend. I don't want to get too into it. I'd rather just read you guys the whole thing. All right, the title of this post was, "I found my boyfriend's poop scale," and apologies while I read through this. All right, So I moved in with my boyfriend about 4 months ago, and we've been together for almost 2 years. But existing in the same apartment has made me acutely aware of his strange behaviors and habits. Since we began dating, I knew how much he cared about his health. He obsessively tracks his diet, works out every single day, and is constantly researching supplements, diet trends. It's all he wants to talk about. It can get annoying, but it hasn't been a deal breaker for me. He's genuinely sweet, emotionally available. My family loves him. Aww. However, living with him has been a different story. The degree of his obsession has become more clear, and it seems to be getting exponentially worse. For example, let me tell you what happened last month. We were watching TV after dinner. I get up to grab a snack, get him some fruit leather, and while I'm walking back to the couch, I grab a quick bite, just a tiny little snip off the corner. It's like half the size of a dime, nothing huge, and he gets visibly annoyed with me. He storms off. He says he can't accurately measure the weight of the scale. He wants a whole new one. We don't have any more. It's the last one in the box. So he uses the kitchen scale to weigh the new weight of the fruit leather, comparing to the weight listed on the wrapper, and mathematically calculates his new caloric intake. He doesn't speak to me the rest of the night, and I was pretty shocked, but I just shrug it off and don't really think about it again. That was last month. Yesterday, I recently discovered something that honestly may lead to the end of our relationship. I got home from work early and rushed straight to the bathroom to pee. Yeah, sure. On the counter next to the sink, there was a digital scale, kind of like a postage scale, and with a large cereal bowl resting on top. The bowl is what caught my eye, because it had a picture of Tommy Pickles' face from Rugrats on it, and I'd never seen this bowl before. And I picked it up to check it out. When I pick it up, that's when I got the whiff of something. It was the noticeable but faint smell of poop. Next to the scale, there was a spray bottle of avocado oil and a piece of paper with a bunch of numbers written on it. It was a daily calendar. Some days had nothing written on by them. Others had numbers ranging from 0.25 pounds to 1.5 pounds. So a quarter of a pound to 1.5 pounds. At this point, I'm super confused and curious. So I call out to my boyfriend who works from home. And when he got to the bathroom door, he looked super fucking pale. Yeah, I would too. Holy shit. I asked him what was up with the scale on the Rugrats bowl, and he fumbled over some words until he said that his chinchilla, which he has a pet chinchilla, has been sick, and he's been weighing him to make sure he's not losing too much weight. This explains the poop smell, but that didn't make any fucking sense in any other way. I told him there's no fucking way this chinchilla weighs less than a pound, and it fluctuates that much over days. This is when he broke down. He started tearing up and confessing that he's been weighing his poops for the last year. He went off on this explanation about how it's giving him valuable data about how efficient his metabolism is, and I don't know. It's just fucking weird. Yeah, it's really fucking weird. The dude's catching his shit in a bowl and weighing it. Why? I was disturbed, as you should. But I was also curious as to how the process even worked. Oh my god, this bitch is funny as fuck. He said that he holds the bowl under his butt in the toilet and while he poops, then he dumps it back in after he's taken the weight. He apparently uses the avocado oil to spray down the bowl at first so the poop doesn't stick. I don't know. When I read this part, that was when to my buddy Harlan, that was when like the light bulb went off in his head. He was like, "Oh yeah, that makes total sense." It was almost like he's like, "Why didn't I think of that? I've just been letting this shit stick to my bowl." That made me laugh so hard. He'd been hiding the scale in the bowl under the sink, and I guess he just forgot to put it away this time. Obviously. He keeps trying to convince me that it's not that unusual, and there's some people on this weightlifting forum he's been a part of that have done it for years. It's just really fucking weirding me out, and I'm not sure I can get over it. I slept on the couch last night, and I told him I needed some space. I don't know what to do. I think this could be the... would you be able to get over something like this? I think this might be the end of my relationship. Holy fuck. Yeah, like I said, I mean, even like reading back through it, it's hilarious. I've never came across something so so outrageous in my life. But uh, I said, like, what do you guys think in the comments? You know, how if you're a woman, which I highly doubt you are listening or watching this, but if you are, first of all, I'm single, and also thanks for watching. And first of all, thanks for watching. Second of all, I'm single, but then we'll reverse that order. And then also, like, what do you think? I think that's fucking hilarious. It's gross as fuck. Like, and you know, I don't know. I have no interest in weighing my shits. I do have an interest in getting a bidet. I've been in the back before. I kind of shared with the guys, you know, my philosophy on a clean butthole. I got introduced to the wet wipes from my sister when I was in college, and opened my eyes, my brown eyes specifically, to a whole new world, a clean world, a dazzling, you know, butthole I never knew. And it's like you can't go back. So I said it's like you gotta walk before you gotta crawl before you gotta walk before you crawl before you run. I think that's how that goes. You know, you crawl, you know, before you run. Whatever. You guys know what the fuck I'm talking about. And the dry paper is like you're crawling. The wet wipes are walking, and you're running with the bidet. I said that. You know, I also kind of, you know, it's also been compared to like how a Pokemon evolves. Like, yeah, boom, boom, boom. Our guy Spenny, who sits in this chair, you know, we're hanging out in the green room. I love just kind of joking around. I love comedy. I wish I had the skills, the intelligence, and the confidence to do and be a stand-up comedian, but maybe one day. Either way, I was kind of like sharing one of like my like ideas for a joke, and also like it's kind of like a bit of truth in my life too with the guys. And Spenny's kind of been like stealing my joke a little bit, you know, talking about like, you know, he doesn't follow the same philosophy of like using the wet wipes and stuff, but you know, he's like, he compares it to that. And I really want a bidet. I have carte blanche to you know, stop by and use my friend's bidet anytime I get back home in Jackson. If they need, they know I know how to get in. They've told me as much, and so, you know, I can't wait one day. I've never used one. I was at my aunt's when I was younger, even before like I started using the wet wipes, and I was like, you know what, I want to try this. I kept pressing all the different buttons, but couldn't get it to work. So, you know, next time we'll figure it out. I haven't been to my aunt's house since. I don't think. It was just like there for a holiday, and you know, we usually just get together. JB, we usually get together like you know, like a different venue, or like, you know, maybe like a lodge or something like that for like a larger family gathering and whatnot. But either way, you know, it's been a jam-packed episode. You know, obviously, you know, we tried to go this long yesterday. If you tapped in, you saw or you heard a little bit of a fuck up. But either way, my guy JB hooked us up, fixed it for us, and you know, we lived, we learned, and got a little bit better today. So look forward to what tomorrow has in store, and we'll see you guys later. Check you alligators later.